Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, guys, we're here to talk about girls today, man.
Don't get gassed.
We have to talk about girls. So, what is a woman? What is a girl? What is it? Who can tell me?
Female.
What is a female?
Opposite gender.
Opposite gender.
Yeah.
So, what does that mean? Other than the fact that they cry a lot. What does it mean? So Allah Azza wa Jal, He created the human being into two. He made men and He made women. He didn't make a third. So number one, you have to understand nowadays people, they're doing this thing of, you could be a guy but pretend to be a woman, and you could be this and be that, and you could be a woman and pretend to be a cow, there's only two. A man is a man and a woman is a man. And if Allah created you, say that again?
You said a woman is a man.
Oh, my bad. Oh, my bad. A man is a man and a woman is a woman. That's what I meant to say. Jazakallah khair. Wait, no, you're his friend. That's the guy I was talking about. No, sorry. You were sitting over there, and then you were sitting with another guy. Sorry, I remember. So yeah, a woman is a woman and a man is a man. And the way that you know is your body parts. Allah made the woman's body a certain way, and He made a man's body a certain way. So when you wake up and you know you have things like that, then I'm a guy, and you can't change, ever. If you do, you're changing the creation of Allah Azza wa Jal, and it's something that Allah said Shaitan wants to do. He wants to change the creation of Allah, because once he changes the creation of Allah, then he can play around with Allah's commands. So Allah made men and women. Now, is it bad for? Now, let me ask a question: who doesn't like women and who likes women?
Don't answer the question.
Huh?
Don't answer the question.
Who would like to get married? Let me ask you that way. What about you? Do you want to get married one day? See, he's on his fitra right now. Have you noticed something? All kids, when they're young, if you told them, "Hey, do you want to get married?" I know you do, but you? What'd you say?
I said I'm not sure.
You're not sure?
Not yet.
No, but one day would you like to get married?
Probably, yeah.
Do you think about it?
No.
You don't think about marriage?
No.
Why?
Too early.
It's too early.
Yeah.
So you don't think about women? You don't think I need a wife?
No.
You don't want a female friend? You don't think about female friends?
No.
You see, because when they're this young, Allah barik, they're upon their fitrah. And Allah, this is how you know that free mixing is haram, because it's in line with the fitrah. Because when you tell kids, like if you take a young brother, if I put you, for example, on a table filled with girls, would you prefer to be with girls or boys? Huh? Boys, right? Good boy. Give me 5. MashaAllah. Because yes.
What's that mean by fitrah?
Fitrah means the way Allah naturally created you. Like Allah naturally created you knowing some things are right and some things are wrong. So He naturally made you understand that for you to be on a table with girls that you're not married to, or that are not your family members, it's haram. But if I told you, do you have sisters? Do you have aunties?
Yeah.
If I say go and sit on a table next to your aunties, do you feel uncomfortable?
No.
Would you prefer to sit with them or with the boys? Equal, right? Because you see, He knows that that's halal and that's haram. But some of you lot, your fitrah got corrupted as you grew old. And now if I say, there's a table with girls, you like say, wallahi. I can sit with the girls. But mashallah, you guys right now are in a good place, Allah barik. But eventually what's going to happen is that you're going to grow old. You're going to grow older, yeah? You're going to become like him, inshallah. And then what's going to happen? You're going to want to get married. And why? Because Allah, in the Quran, He said, زُيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ حُبُّ الشَّهَوَاتِ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ وَالْبَنِينَ وَالْقَنَاطِيرِ إِلَى آخِرِهَا, to the end of the ayah. Allah said, Allah, He beautified for men the desire of women. So Allah made you want to have a woman. And even Adam alayhi salam, he was in Jannah. That was cool, right? He was in Jannah, he was having a good time, right? But Jannah wasn't Jannah without a wife. So even Adam alayhi salam, he needed what? He needed a wife, he needed a woman. So Allah gave him a woman to be a companion within Jannah, because the only one who is complete when he's alone is Allah. That's why one of Allah's names is Al-Witr. Al-Witr means to be the one that's alone, to be the odd one, the one that's alone. And Allah created us as a shafa, which means pairs. We are incomplete when we're alone. When the man is on his own, he's incomplete. Oh my God, no, I need a woman. You know what I'm saying? I need to get married. And suddenly he gets married, he's like, oh. Like Sheikh Adil, you know, he just recently calmed down and he recently just became complete. Am I wrong? Alhamdulillah. Say Allah barik, guys. So, but before, you know, you guys, that's why we call it roasting. It's like you're on fire, just burning. You know what I'm saying? You just have this constant like uncomfortability. So having a woman will make you complete. So there's nothing wrong with wanting a woman, inshallah. That's the first point I want to start with. But the issue is that when Allah made things halal, He made them halal in a certain way. And any way other than that way, He made it haram. The same way, did Allah make business halal? Did He make business halal? But there are types of business He made haram. He made, for example, riba, interest, haram. Okay? Are drinks halal? But there are certain drinks Allah made haram. For example, alcohol, right? It's haram. So why is it that Allah makes something halal, but then within it He makes something haram? Because Allah Azza wa Jal knows that if people go to too extreme in one of those things, it will create more harm. It will create more problem. For example, I can drink all the drinks I want. Juice and smoothies and milkshakes and blah, 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 blah. But alcohol, why can't I drink it? Even though it's a drink, what's wrong with it?
It turns into a donkey.
Not that it turns into a donkey, but it gets you, what?
Insane.
Yeah, it's borderline insanity. It gets you drunk. You lose your head. And when you lose your head, what do? Yeah, if you look at most people who get arrested on a Friday night, why? They're drunk. They got into fights, they raped women, they did this, they vandalized, they broke property. It's because they were drunk. Does that make sense? So that's why Allah Azza wa Jalla said, drinking is halal. No one said drink is haram. But this one is haram. Why? Because it has a worse effect. Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say interest is haram? You all know what interest is, right? Interest is I give you £10 and I tell you when you pay me back, you have to pay me back 20. And every month you delay the payment, I'm going to add an extra 10 on there. So I give you 10, but you might have to give me £100 back. So why did Allah make interest haram?
Because it leads to debt.
Because it keeps people in debt. That's why, you know, when you look at countries, for example, in Africa, do you know that the countries are not poor? They are rich in resources. That's where all of the gas and the metals and the diamonds and even oil and it comes from. But why is it that the countries have so much poverty? It's not because the countries are poor. It's not because the countries aren't making money. It's because there's so much debt. America lent them what, maybe like £1 billion, but they said you have to pay us back over 10 years, and when you pay us back, it's going to be 20 billion or 10 billion. So they're like, I have to pay back 20 times more than I took. So they don't have, even though they have so much money, if they didn't have to pay all that interest, they'd be maybe some of the richest countries in the world. Like for example, do you know that India, which back in the day was Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, was one of the most richest regions in the entire world. It made up for about 25% of the world's wealth. Did you know that Pakistan, India, Bangladesh made up for 25%, one quarter of the entire world's wealth? But now it's like what? Do you see the poverty there? Why? It's the debt that they've been placed under them. Say that again, sorry?
Is this type of interest haram? Let's say you have money in your bank
Yeah.
and you don't use it for quite a while.
Yeah.
And the bank just gives you
Yeah.
money from
That's haram.
themselves.
It's haram.
But how do you stop it?
You open up a halal bank account. I think HSBC has a bank account in which there's no interest.
Oh, okay.
So you open up a halal bank account, or you can, I have an account with Nationwide. Just ask your mum to help you, take you to the bank and speak to them and say, I don't want an interest bank account. Most banks can give you one, inshallah. The point I'm making here is that Allah made business halal, but this one He made haram. So now Allah made marriage halal. So He made wanting women halal, and you can have women. But bro, you can afford if you want. It's halal. But the thing is, Allah made it haram unless you're doing it through what? Through marriage. Which means boyfriend, girlfriend is what? Open relationships is? haram. So you can have women, no problem. You can have women. This has to be through marriage. Why? Because if you don't do it through marriage, problems are going to come. The same way, if you drink alcohol, it was made haram because in it is what? In it is what? Harm. In it is harm. Why is it that riba is haram? Because in it is harm. Why is it that things are haram? Because there's harm in there. The harm is worse than the good. The same way, having relationships, boys and girls, having these relationships, boyfriend, girlfriend, is haram because the evil that will come as a result of these relationships is worse than the evil that would come out of not doing it. For example, what are some evils that come out of having a girlfriend? So, why is zina a problem?
You can only do it after marriage. Or it's allowed after marriage.
But why? So, 1 second, you have to understand. Why is it that you can't sleep around with women? Why? You know when you get married, can I tell you something? You know nikah, what does it mean in the Arabic language? Nikah. Nikah means marriage, right? What does nikah mean in Arabic language?
Nikah? It's like, is that the dog's... No, I don't know.
What?
Don't worry.
Okay, no, it's nothing to do with dog. Were you going to say dog's butt?
Bark.
Oh, dog's bark.
Yeah, I thought it was...
No. Nikah, the marriage contract. In Arabic, it means two things. It means al-jima' and it means aqd. Aqd means contract and jima' means when a husband and wife, they have intimacy, they have relationships with each other. You know what husband and wife do? So this is, in other words, nikah is the contract that makes doing intimacy halal. Does that make sense? Why is it that you have to go for a contract to do it? Because if you're going to now take the woman and you're going to basically, you're going to have a relationship with her such as where you're going to fulfill your desires from her, it can't just be that she's just a worthless woman that you leave on the streets. In return, she has rights that you have to fulfill. You have to take care of her, you have to honor her, you have to clothe her, you have to get her a house, you have to take her. When men, they do it with girls on the streets, what's a one-night stand? He'll do haram with a woman and he'll leave. She's left crying, heartbroken, abused, and in the end, she's got no one to take care of her, no one to shelter her, no one to protect her, no one to support her. Does that make sense? So that's a problem. And also another problem is that when you get married and you have a child, then you're bound by that relationship and that contract to take care of the child. But let's say you don't get married and you have a child, the man can run away. The man can say, it wasn't my child. Do you guys have kids, friends at school, people at school that you know that don't have a dad? That their dads are not around? Do you know? Say again? Yeah, most of them are not divorced. So most of them are just, the dad's not there. Or some of them is like, where's dad? I never saw my dad. Do you have any friends that never seen their dad?
Yeah.
How do you think that happened? Zina. Their parents done haram. And now the kid doesn't have a dad. Now imagine how sad it would be if you didn't have a dad. See, Islam's protecting everyone. Also diseases. The Prophet ﷺ said that people, if they do zina, diseases will spread. Big diseases will spread. Yeah, diseases that there will be no cure for, and you've never seen it before. You've never seen these diseases before. HIV is a new disease. AIDS is a new disease. They never existed. AIDS never used to exist. But it came about when people started to do a lot of zina. People started to do a lot of haram, boyfriend, girlfriend, doing, these kind of things. So Allah Azza wa Jal, He sent that disease. And it's protecting you. It's protecting you. Also, let me ask you a question. Would you like if another man came and took your sister? Put your hand up if you've got a sister. Okay, if you don't have a sister, put your hand up if you've got a mum. Now, would you like any guy to come to your mum or your sister and try to take her as a girlfriend? What would you do? You slap him? What about you?
Me?
Yeah, what would you do?
I don't know.
What would you, not what you do, but what would you like to do to him?
Kill him.
Okay. No, inshallah. You're not going to kill no one. Can I tell you something? One Sahabi said something similar, and The Prophet ﷺ said, "Are you strange? Do you find it strange?" They said, "I'm going to kill." And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Wallahi, ana aghyaru minhu." Or kama qala, he said, "I have more ghira, I have more jealousy for my women than this man." His name was Sa'ad, the companion, has. And he said, "Wallahi aghyaru minni," and Allah has more than me. But don't kill no one, because you're not allowed to kill yourself. It happens in the court. You have to let the court deal with it. We live in a country where they don't have Islamic law, so you have to basically just, move back home. The point is that you'd be very upset, right? So why would you do that to another woman? Because Allah Azza wa Jal knows that you would be so hurt, and it will bring you so much pain if you were walking around with different women. So if different men were walking around with your women, with your sisters, with your mothers, with your daughters, Allah He made it haram for you to do the same to other people's mums and daughters. The same way you wouldn't like someone to do it to your sister, Allah does not allow you to do it to someone else's sister. So for that reason, having a girlfriend became haram. And anyone who has a girlfriend and he does haram with her, do you know what his punishment is in the Sharia? To be lashed 100 times. If he's married and then he goes and has a girlfriend when he has a wife, then it's death. But if he's not married, it's three things. Number one, he's to be lashed 100 times. Number two, it has to be done in public so he can be embarrassed in front of everyone. And number three, he has to be exiled to a land to live alone for a year. No friends, no family.
Well, if you're just friends with them,
you're not allowed. I'll come to that. It's a good question. It's a very good question. But the point is that if you have a girlfriend and one does haram with them, then this is the punishment. That's how severe. Why is it severe? It's to tell you this is wrong, stay away from it. Now the brother asked a very good question. He said, what if you're friends with them? You see, Allah Azza wa Jalla said something powerful in the Quran. He said, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا. Allah said, do not come close to zina. Do not come close to doing haram with a woman. Do not come close to doing with a woman what a man and a wife does. Do not come close to it. Allah didn't say don't do it. Allah said, وَلَا تَقْتُلْ. Allah said, don't kill. Allah said, don't kill. He didn't say don't go near to killing. But when it came to zina, He said, don't go near to it. Why? Because zina is one of those things, when you do haram with a woman, it's one of those things that it doesn't happen straight away. Shaitan doesn't come to you and say, hey, go and do haram with this woman. First he says to you, look at her. Then he says to you, speak to her. Then he says to you, become her friend. Talk to her on Instagram and Snapchat or on WhatsApp. Just talk to her. Go out with her. Just be friends with her. And then what happens? Then Shaitan tells you, be alone with her. Spend time alone with her. And then he makes you do haram with the girl. He makes you touch her in a way that you shouldn't touch her and whatnot and so on and so forth. So that's why in our religion, anything that leads to that final point of that man and woman being alone and doing haram is become haram in our religion. Looking at her is haram. Talking to her is haram. Being alone with her is haram. All of that is haram. The Prophet ﷺ said, touching a woman is haram, to the point where the Prophet said, if you touch a woman and she's not your sister or your wife or your mother or your daughter, just to touch her hand like that. You know what the Prophet said? The Prophet said, it's better for me to have an iron nail rammed through my head. Imagine someone takes a hammer and smashes an iron nail in your head. The Prophet said, it's better for that to happen than for you to touch the hand of a woman who's haram for you. Ooh, it's powerful, isn't it? And then girls come and what do they do to you in school? They hug you. Hey! Not you, I'm just saying. Or do they?
No.
You sure, yeah?
Boys' school.
Are you in a boys' school? No. Okay, he's so funny. He looked at me, he didn't even say it in a way where like, no, alhamdulillah, he said it as in like, no chance. Like, I wish. He literally was like, nah. Yeah, the point is that it's a very big thing. Does that make sense? It's a very, very big thing. Go for it.
What if you're threatened to do it?
What do you mean?
Like threatened to be, to like, let's say, go let's say, be girlfriend or boyfriend with someone.
Yeah.
What if you're threatened to do it, like gun to your head or something? I don't know.
Oh, very good question. Very good question. But that hasn't happened to you, has it?
No, of course
Okay, good. Allah barik. He said, if you have a gun to your head and someone threatens you to do boyfriend girlfriend. So the thing is, you see, when you can do haram things if they're in a state of necessity. You could do haram things if you're in a state of necessity. For example, if you're in the desert and you're about to die of thirst and there's alcohol, I know it's disgusting and filthy, but you could drink it just to keep yourself alive. But you have to understand the haram is of two types. There's haram where the haram only affects you, and then there's the haram where it affects those around you. The haram that only affects you, you're allowed to do it if someone puts a gun to your head. But the haram that affects others, you cannot do even if someone puts a gun to your head. For example, someone puts a gun to your head and say, kill him or I'll kill you. You can't kill no one because no one made you more special than that person. The same way if someone puts a gun to your head and says, do zina with this girl, do haram with this girl. I was pointing right in the middle because I don't want to point at anyone when I said girl. There's no one there. If someone points and says, do zina with this girl, you're not allowed to do it because it affects someone else now. You're violating this woman. You're going to take away her purity by sleeping with her. So no one gave you the right to do that. So in that situation, there's you can't do it. You have to just make dua to Allah, say, Allah, please save me. But inshallah, no one's going to do that to you. Okay? If they do, you call me. Me and Adil are going to come down. Inshallah. So the point here that I'm making is that because of that reason, my brothers, you're not allowed to do that. Now I tell you something. Allah Azza wa Jal, He wants you to ultimately get married, and you'd want to get married to this woman, even if she's your girlfriend. You'd want to get married to her. People who do things in a haram way, in the end, they never get happy. They're never happy. They're never happy. Like for example, if I take a seed and the seed is broken, is a healthy flower going to grow from it? No. Why? It's broken from the beginning. So imagine I want to get married to a girl, but I take her out as my girlfriend first. Is a good marriage going to come when the beginning was filthy? The beginning was already bad, so nothing good will come from it. It's better to be patient. And Allah Azza wa Jalla will put barakah, because what did Allah say? Allah said, وَجَعَلْنَا بَيْنَكُمْ مُوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. Allah said, He made love between the husband and the wife. Allah made it. Allah put it there. So you don't make her love you and she doesn't make you love her. Allah makes you love each other. Is Allah going to make you love each other if you've done it in a haram way? Shaitan will make you seem like you're in love. The moment you get married, you'll get a divorce. Or she might cheat on you. The same way she's talking, and this is a very important point to understand, the same way she talks to men, and she talks to you, how do you know she's not going to talk to someone else when she's with you? How do you not know she's going to be speaking to other men when you're married to her? Does that make sense? And same way, how does she know that she could trust you when you've been with so many girls? If you had been with girls. Does that make sense? You have a question?
But you wouldn't just marry someone if you didn't know them at all, would you?
So how do you get to know someone?
How?
Their Instagram. Do you want to get to know a girl before you marry her?
Or you wouldn't just marry someone before.
It's true. Look, can I tell you something? So the question here is that you're saying, so does dating a girl help you get to know her?
No, I'm not saying date them.
What are you saying?
You know, find someone.
Yeah, you can get to know her like her dad's, as long as her dad's there. You can chat to her all day when her dad's there. Bless, how you doing? What's your favorite color? My favorite color is blue. Okay, inshallah, do you like cats? I like cats. You're like, no, I'm allergic to cats. Can't marry you. Sorry. You could ask her. You can speak to her and her dad's there. Ask Adil how he did it. How did you do it? Talk us through it. How did you?
Mine was a bit after seeing how mine happened. Mine was arranged, mate. So alhamdulillah.
But you did get to know her before you married.
Shall I be honest, though?
Yeah, go on.
I only met her once. With her family before.
Yeah, but you got to know her.
Yeah, that one day, yeah.
That was enough, right?
So basically, when I met her and her family, so we went to the mill together. So her family was there, my family was there, she was there. And then literally I had a list of questions that I wanted to ask her. So I literally interrogated her. I found out about her family. She asked me as well. And I thought, yeah, let's go ahead.
Allah Mubarak, man. And can I tell you something? The best way to get to know someone is not to go out with them on a date or anything like that. Shall I tell you why? Because when you go out on a date, the girl, what's she going to do? She's going to pretend to be as likable to you as possible, right? She's going to put up so much makeup to make herself look nice. She's going to talk to you in a certain way. And that's not who she really is. It's an act. And you're doing the same. But you know what doesn't lie? Her social media. On her social media, you can find out she swears. Look at that. Boys are like giving her love hearts. Boys are commenting like, "A'udhu billah." Look at you. You talk to boys. You're trying to tell me you're righteous. You know what I'm saying? You find out everything about from a person's social media. You know, nowadays, if you want to get a job, you know what companies do after the interview? Because even companies have realized at the interview, it's like a date. You're just pretending to be good. They'll go check your social media, and then they'll decide whether they want to hire you or not. Say that again. It's clean, yeah? Allah barik. But you know how they set you up? Just send a decoy in, make a fake account, pretend to be a girl, message you and say, hey, if you respond, brother, that's getting screenshotted and put all on over the internet. The point of the matter is that there's many ways of getting someone on. You can go out to dinner with her, but her dad has to be there. Her dad has to be there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, inshallah. So when you're looking to get married then? After today, you thinking about it a bit more? You sure?
Yeah.
You gonna call me though? Really? You don't know if you're gonna call me to the wedding?
Oh, to the wedding.
Oh, yeah, okay, okay. Can I perform it?
I don't know.
Can you just say you know?
Huh?
I can put it in my diary.
Come in, August.
It's already happened, right?
It's already happened, it has happened, but maybe.
Yeah. The walima? Yeah, shout me inshallah. I just funny, like when he got married, he became a changed man. I saw him walking with a Gucci bag and everything along there. MashaAllah. So the point that I make is that when you want it, inshallah, ultimately, brothers, you have it in a halal way, and then you'll be very happy. And then you can get a second and a third and a fourth if you really want. I don't advise it, but you can get if you really want.
Isn't that illegal?
Huh?
Isn't that illegal?
No, it's not illegal. As in, it's illegal to have a registration marriage. But as far as they're concerned, just say it's my other girlfriend. The kuffar, they don't care if you have 10 girlfriends. As long as you have nikah, which is Allah's nikah, you can't go to the court and marry more than one woman. But they don't care. That's how filthy they are. They can say you could sleep with 20 women and still be married. So they don't care if you have 4 wives. You can't go to the court and marry 4 wives. Does that make sense? Were you thinking of a second? Get a first. Huh? But do you want one?
No.
You don't want one? You don't want to get married? How old are you?
12.
Okay, but can I tell you something, brothers? To want to get married is a good thing. Do you know there's a Sahabi called Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiallahu anhuma, and Amr ibn al-As. Amr ibn al-As was 11 years old, and he had his first son.
11?
Yeah.
Oh, man,
He's the Prophet's companion, yeah. He was 11 and he had his son. His son's name was Abdullah, his name was Ahmad. Huh? He's the son as well, yeah. So you lot should want to get married soon. You should eventually... Look, can I tell you the advice that the Prophet ﷺ gave? He said, Ya ma'ashara shabab. He said, oh youngsters, man istata'a minkum al-ba'ah falyatazawwaj. Anyone from amongst you who has the ability to get married, then let him get married. And here, ability doesn't necessarily mean money, even though some said it means money, but it means physical ability. Like, as in, you got to the point where you're like, I like women. So to protect yourself from haram, to looking at other women, you should now go to mum and dad and say, Mum, Dad, look on a big man thing. I say, I need to get married. You need to keep trying then. You need to keep chatting to mum.
I've already tried it.
Yeah,
Say, how old are you both?
I got rinsed by my auntie.
How old are you?
I'm 17.
And you?
18 October.
Bro, you don't need to try harder, bro. I know a brother who was 18 and got married, he had 2 wives. Allah barik.
His wife was not me happy.
He had 2 wives, and what Allah barik is like 3, 4 kids and 2 businesses at the age of 21.
I'm too broke to get married.
But then you know what you say to them? You say to them what Allah said in the Quran. Allah said, even if you're poor, Allah's talking to the parents, the walis here, get them married. يُغْنِيهِمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. Allah will make you rich from His bounty. Allah will facilitate ways for you to earn money and whatnot after. I would tell you, especially you're 17, 18, bro, you don't need to get married, man. Allah? Yeah, you don't need to up the levels, man. Pick up the pace. Inshallah. Inshallah, we'll just leave it open for Q&A now, inshallah. I've said what I wanted to say. Go on, akhi.
So, you know, saying on Instagram and friendship as well. So, what if I'm not going to meet that girl? I just want to chat on Instagram.
So, like I said, any contact with the woman that you're not married is haram. Allah said, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا. Don't go near to it. You see a woman, run! You can't go near to it. You know, even the Prophet ﷺ said, You know how it should be? Is that the women walk on one side of the road and the men walk on the other side of the road. The men would walk in the middle of the path and the women would walk on the sides. The Prophet ﷺ would tell the women, leave the masjid first, and then the men would leave the masjid. So, you know what I'm saying? Ya rahmakallah. So in all these situations, the Prophet ﷺ is trying to teach you to not go near it. Allah said, don't go near it. Because, akhi, I'll be honest with you, wallah, if you fall into haram with a girl, akhi, wallah, man, it's going to destroy your heart. And you might never come back to being a practicing Muslim. And you might end up in the hellfire. But you know why? Because Allah said, إِنَّهُ كَانَ فَاحِشًا. It is filthy when you do haram with a woman. وَسَاءَ سَبِيلًا. And it leads to an evil path. So when you do haram with a woman, then you do more haram, until you fall off Islam, and sometimes you even leave Islam forever. Does that make sense? So you want to stay far away from it because it's a filthy act. It leads to a more evil path. Go on, akhi. What's your name? Ibrahim. Go on.
Well, let's say, because in school we did like a play last year.
Okay.
And
What was the play?
it was
Some Romeo and Juliet thing.
On the room, yeah.
it was like just some. It was Strictly Come Dancing.
Strictly Come Dancing. Where is that?
Yeah, don't worry, I understand it. Go on.
And they made me dance with a girl.
Okay.
So
They made you or?
yeah, they made me.
Okay.
Like every. Well, I was trying to. I didn't want to seem. So what I want to ask you is, if you don't want to seem rude to the teachers, because they think it's okay, right? What do you say to them?
How old are you, firstly?
11.
Okay. You know, firstly, I have to understand something. There's being rude. We don't want to be rude to the teachers, but we also have to. It's either you're going to be rude to the teacher or you're going to be rude to Allah. So sometimes, just to be nice to the teacher, you end up being rude to Allah, because Allah says He doesn't want you to do that. Number two, if you speak to the teachers and you say, I don't feel comfortable for religious reasons, they cannot force you to do it. And that's actually a very polite way of saying it. And they'll actually respect you and just say, I'm sorry, I don't feel comfortable. You know, like the way you just spoke, with that smile. Really like this, I'm sorry, I don't feel comfortable for religious reasons. I don't think they'll ever think it's rude. I don't think they'll ever think it's rude. So do you think you're going to do that next time? As in, do you think you're going to say that to them next time?
Yeah.
Good boy, mashallah. Allahumma barik.
Well, if I bring up marriage talk with my mom, and she just brushes it off her shoulder, she doesn't reply back, what's my next step?
Okay, so look, if you want, look, I'll be honest with you, yeah? So it's an issue in that the parents need to really take it seriously when they see that their kids are talking about marriage. Because that means it's getting dangerous now, because he's actually bringing it up, you know what I'm saying? But then if they're not listening, you have to understand something, is that the reason is because they don't see you to be serious, maybe. So you've got to show them I'm serious. Like, for example, it's true, like, mum will probably say something like, brother, you don't even clean and you want to talk about wife. Like, you don't even clean after yourself in the shower, like, you know, you're talking about wife. So you have to show mum and dad, look, I'm mature, I'm serious, I'm serious about life. Does that make sense? You have to start taking responsibilities, because the way they see it is that if we bring a woman into your life, are you going to be able to fulfill the responsibilities that you have over her? Does that make sense? So you've got to show mum, look, mum, I'm mature. So I think maybe it'd be good, have a real conversation with mum, saying, mum, look, what's the reason why I can't get married? Have a conversation, break it out, pull it out of her. What's the reason?
I was even told that young marriage causes like breakups in the future.
It depends, yes or no. It depends, yes or no. And to be honest, it's better to get married young, even if it doesn't work out, than to do zina when you're young.
Yeah.
At least you've done it and it was halal. قدر الله ما شاء فعل, it didn't work out. No problem. But the point is, everything's halal. Does that make sense? The religion doesn't want you to do haram. That's the point. The religion doesn't want you to do haram. That's the point here. Make lots of dua, brothers. You know, I wanted to get married, and my dad wasn't letting me get married for like almost like, you know, like a year plus. You know, I was 22. It's tough, man. I thought he was laughing at me. I thought he was like, yeah, my dad wasn't letting me. My dad was like, I have to find a woman for you from the village, back home. I have to find her myself. So, yeah, he was on that wave. So he was not like letting me get married. Anyway, I remember one time I was gonna give up, and a brother, he gave me advice. He said, "How bad do you want to get married?" I was like, "Proper bad, bro." He said, "So when do you wake up in the middle of the night and ask Allah? Do you ask Allah?" I was like, no, not really. He goes, then you don't want it that bad. Because if you really wanted it that bad, then the one who has the ability to make it happen for you is Allah. Allah is the one who has the ability to make it. Because remember, rizq, which is provision, is from Allah. One of Allah's names is Ar-Razzaq, provision. Provision, rizq, is not just food and money. Women are rizq, children are rizq. Your wife is a rizq from Allah Azza wa Jal. So Allah Azza wa Jal, He will give it to you, but you have to ask Him. Allah said, anyone who calls upon me, I respond. Rather, Allah said, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ. Allah said, when my servant asks about me, I'm very close. So close that Allah said, if you make dua to me, I respond to you on the spot. I respond to you. I respond to your dua. So the time on the last third of the night, which is just before Fajr, is the time when Allah, He says, who is calling me so I may respond? Who's asking me so I may give? Who's repenting so I may forgive? But you're asleep at that time, so you don't really want it that bad. If you want it that bad, you get up at that time, you do it every day. In the meantime, brothers, also, until you get married, fast. Because the same hadith of the Prophet ﷺ told the boys, the young boys, he said, get married if you have the ability. He said, but if you don't have the ability, he said, فَعَلَيْكُمْ بِالصَّوْمِ. Then upon you is to fast. فَإِنَّهُ لَهُ وِجَاء. Because fasting, what does it do? You know that feeling of desires that you have that is so hard? You know the roast? The roast? You know that feeling, that roasting feeling you have? Fasting takes it away. And it really does, man. It takes it away. And Allah, the Prophet ﷺ didn't say you can do anything else. Like some people go to other alternatives. Like they do other haram things until they get married. If you know what I'm saying, if you know, you know, reading between the lines. They do other things. The Prophet didn't say that. He didn't say, oh, if you don't get married, then you can do that. He said, no, if you don't get married, then what do? You fast. You with me? You fast. Yes?
What's the maximum, age until you can get married?
As in, what do you mean, as in the minimum age, you mean?
Minimum, yeah, minimum.
When you hit puberty. Have you hit puberty?
I don't know.
You sound it. Your voice sounds a bit deep.
I don't know.
I think you have.
You said that's Sahabi.
He hit puberty
He was married, he had.
when he's 11, yeah.
He was 11 years old.
Yeah. Let me ask a question. When you start growing hair, for example, under your armpits and in other areas, then you've hit puberty. It's one of the signs you've hit puberty. 1 second. It's not really a sign. Let me tell you when you hit puberty, yeah?
Voice break.
Water break. Oh, voice break. Sorry. So I think it's a water break. Yeah. Okay. So your voice breaking and all these are signs, but it's not. You hit puberty as a man. Either if you hit the age of 15, no one hasn't hit puberty by the age of 15. Once you're 15, you've hit puberty. Also, another way is if you have a wet dream. If you have a wet dream. So if you've had a wet dream, you're a man now. Yeah? If you've had a wet dream, you're a man now. I don't mean urinating yourself in your sleep. I mean something else. I mean you have a dream where you wake up and you see, basically seminal fluid. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. It's important, wallah, this is stuff that's taught to kids. There's a book called Safidatul Najat, which is a book on fiqh that's taught to like little kids. Because you have to know, you shouldn't feel awkward about it. Like, you need to know when you become a man. You become a man either when you have a wet dream or when you hit 15. So either if you're 15, put your hand up. 15 or above, put your hand up. Okay, you're all men. If you're below 15, then what? What is it? No, you're not necessarily a child. If you had a wet dream. And if you have a wet dream before 9, it doesn't count. So it's between 9. If you have a wet dream after 9 years old, if you have a wet dream, you're a man. Are you a man yet? Brother? Are you a man yet? So you haven't had one yet? Inshallah, I got a feeling he's a man. Do you understand? Yeah. So once you have that, then you're a man, inshallah ta'ala. And you know what that means, brothers? Can I tell you why it's important to know? Because not every sin you do is being written down. That's why it's important to know. Every sin that you do. You know, before you become a man, before you have a wet dream, or before you hit 15, any sin you do is not written down. But all the good deeds you do are written down. All the good deeds that you do are written down. Look at the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal. All of the good that you do is written, but the bad isn't written. But the moment you become a man, the bad is written as well now. So if you right now have not become a man, and you're still a boy, right? You haven't hit manhood, right? Yeah? You need to do as much good as you can. You know why? Do as much good as you can. Shall I tell you why? Because you're investing in your future. Like when the moment you grow up and you become a man and you become grown up, you've got good deeds that are way ahead of everyone else. Whereas everyone else, our good and bad are just starting to be written now. Does that make sense? But your good has been written from before. So you do that. Does that make sense? Also, when you become a man, what else happens? You need to understand that all of the things Allah commanded you to do, you have to do them now. So for example, Hajj is now wajib on you. Hajj. Zakat, if you earn and you meet its conditions, is wajib on you. All of the things that are wajib, obligatory upon a man, you have to do them now. Does that make sense? Yes.
What if you've done Hajj before you were a man?
Very good question, Allahumma barik. Did you do it before?
Well, I was going to, but then my dad cancelled.
Okay, but you got good questions, man. Allahumma barik.
I've done Umrah before that.
MashaAllah. So if you do Hajj, you done Umrah when you were a kid?
I did last April.
So were you a man then or not?
I think no.
Okay, are you a man now?
I think.
He said, I think. Allah, I love you guys. Allah, very. So look, Umrah and Hajj are both obligatory. If you do it before you became a man, you get the reward for it. But you still have to do it again, inshallah. You get the reward for it. But it doesn't uplift the obligation. Because there was a woman, she came with a baby to the Prophet ﷺ, and she said, does he have Hajj? Does the baby have Hajj? And the Prophet said, yes, he does. So he has Hajj, but it doesn't uplift the obligation of Hajjatul Islam, the actual Hajj that is wajib on you to do. Does that make sense? So inshallah, do Hajj another day. Go on.
You said before you're a man, all the bad things is written down.
Yeah.
Even the worst of the sins.
Yes, nothing's written down.
Okay.
Nothing's written down. Nothing. What, did you do any bad sin?
No.
Okay, good. He said it like he was stressed, like. You didn't kill no one, did you? You didn't kill no one, did you?
No.
He's thinking, I caught some bodies. People say I caught some bodies in Jahiliyyah, and I caught some bodies in childhood before I became a man. Go on.
How do you know that you've had a wet dream?
Ooh.
Wake up and your bed is soaking wet.
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be soaking wet. Do you know what seminal fluid is?
Is it like,
You know what seminal fluid is, right?
is it like, is it,
You know what seminal fluid is, right? You know it, right?
I think so.
Huh? Okay. I want to tell you. Basically, actually ask your dad to tell you. Yeah? Ask your dad to tell you. And it's when you see that.
I don't know.
I don't know. I never. Allah, you guys are amazing, man. Allah, I'm very. Yeah, tell dad today, Dad, I need to talk. Yes. He won't mind, right? Okay. Seminal fluid basically is when you have a stickish, liquidish substance that comes out of your private part. Okay? It comes out. And usually it's accompanied by a dream where you're having fun. In the dream, you're married in the dream, inshallah. Sometimes you don't see anything. You just wake up and like, whoa, what happened? and it feels like it feels nice. Like you enjoy the feeling basically. Like in your dream, you enjoy it. You wake up and you enjoy it. Does that make sense? Yeah. So yeah, you think about it. Has that happened? Has it not? I don't know. Like you deep it yourself. If it's happened, inshallah. How old are you?
13.
Bro, I'll be honest. You sound like you're a man. Allah, you must have.
I haven't.
You haven't yet, yeah? You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay. It's coming. It might be tonight. It might be tonight. Any other questions?
So if you have a haram relationship
Yeah.
past and you've done certain things,
Yeah.
let's say you come back, for example,
Yeah.
can you be forgiven, for instance?
Of course
To
you
an
can.
extent?
Yeah, Allah Azza wa Jal said even people who do haram with women, Allah Azza wa Jal, He will wipe the slate clean, but they have to do 3 things. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَتَابُوا وَعَمِلَ عَمَلًا صَالِحًا فَأُولَٰئِكَ يُبَدِّلُ اللَّهُ سَيِّئَاتِهِمْ حَسَنَاتٍ. Allah Azza wa Jal said the people who after they done haram with women or any other haram that they done, even if they done shirk and kufr is the greatest evil, Allah said if they come back, and number 1, they repent, they come back to Allah. Number 2, they believe the belief of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the belief of the Salaf al-Salih, the belief of the Sahaba, not the belief of the Shia or the Sufis or the Barelvis or all these other groups, the belief of Ahlul Sunnah. And number 3, then they start doing righteous actions. Allah said Allah will not just erase the sin, but Allah will convert it into good deeds.
Okay.
He'll convert the bad into good. Allah, look at that. Allah is amazing. Look at that. Before you become a man, your deeds are just piling up, but your evil deeds are not. And then even when you become a man, if you do sins, if you say, Allah, I'm sorry, Allah will convert those sins into good deeds. But you can't play around with Allah and do sins and say, Allah, I'm going to ask you to forgive me. Because Allah Azza wa Jal, He knows how people are. You try to play with Allah, you know what Allah will do? Allah will seal your heart. And then you become misguided. And then you'll never be able to repent. Does that make sense? Go for it.
Let's say you have a child,
Yeah.
and
You ask grown-up questions, my bro.
No, it's Ibrahim's first day now.
Say that again?
It's his first day now for the time as well.
Oh, really? Allah Akbar, it's the first day, huh? MashaAllah. You enjoying it?
Yeah.
Are you trying to be here? Yeah. Okay, good. Make sure, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, no more Strictly Come Dancing. Go on.
If you have a child,
Yeah.
and they want to be in a different religion,
Uh-huh.
what do you say to them?
So okay, look, so in this country, what they tell you is that you have to give the child the freedom to choose whatever it is that you want. But as Muslims, obviously, that's something that's problematic. And what the religion of Islam tells us is that we're not allowed to encourage anyone to do any evil. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Man ra'a minkum munkaran falyughayyirhu biyadihi, fa in lam yastati' fa bilisanihi, fa in lam yastati' fa biqalbihi, wa dhalika ad'afu al-iman." The Prophet ﷺ said, if anyone sees anyone do any evil, then change it with your hand if you have the ability. If you don't have the ability, then with your tongue. So speak out against it, advise people against it. And if you can't, then at least hate it in your heart. Now the parents have ability to advise the child and speak to the child and convince the child and protect the child and save the child from wanting to change their religion. Does that make sense? So the parents have the obligation, the same way all of us have the obligation. If we see non-Muslims on the street, we should feel sad and we should feel upset that they are upon kufr. So we should want to speak to them and say, why are you a disbeliever? Stop being a disbeliever. Stop worshipping these humans. You worship Jesus. Or look at you, you worship yourself as an atheist. You don't even believe in God. So, a Muslim can't see anyone. It pains a Muslim to see anyone turn away from the path of Allah to the path of disbelief. Go for it.
My mum told me that if someone kills your like one of your family members, but they kill you, one of your family members, are you allowed to kill them back?
No, so none of us are allowed to take the law. So in Islam, Allah Azza wa Jal, He mentioned that that there's something called qisas, which is capital punishment. Yeah, if someone kills someone of yours, then that person's punishment now, it would be the death penalty. But me and you are not allowed to take that law into our own hands. Firstly, it's only applicable in a Muslim country, so it wouldn't even apply here. If you do it here, you'd be breaking the law, and that is actually un-Islamic. Even though that punishment, which is an Islamic punishment, which is to be the death punishment, it would not be applicable in this country. And if you did it, you'd be breaking the law, and Allah Azza wa Jal told you that if you're, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu awfu bil uqud, O you who believe, fulfill your promises. So if you live in this country, you've promised to not break their laws, right? Otherwise, leave the country. But in a Muslim country, even then, you wouldn't be able to pick up a sword and just kill them back. What would happen is that you'd have to take it to the court, and the court would judge and have a proper court process. They'll bring the evidences, and if the person is proven to be guilty, then the judge will order for the person to be executed. But it's not something that's in our hands. So it wouldn't be you or me or anyone who ever kills. It would be the Islamic government that takes care of that. But even then, Allah Azza wa Jalla, He encouraged you to forgive the person. Allah Azza wa Jalla, look what He said. The person, and this look how much Allah He wants you to understand the concept of brotherhood in Islam. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He said, what's the ayah, Kamran? وَمَنْ عُفِيَ لَهُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ شَيْءٌ فَاتِّبَاعٌ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. Allah Azza wa Jalla said, but anyone who forgives his brother after he killed one of your family members, but look, Allah said, he's still your brother. He's still your brother in Islam. Forgive him. And that way he would have to give blood money, which is 50 camels, which works out to be about £100,000. So you would be able to choose. Either you want the person to die or take 50 camels. With 50 camels, you can buy a lot of toys. Is that the end? Okay, inshallah. Yeah, we'll take his because the skin guys, I think he had it for.
You're allowed to kill in war, aren't you?
Is this a setup? Is this a setup? Let me ask a question. Does that question make sense? If it's war, it's killing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
I'm saying, is it haram to kill in war?
No, not at all.
Okay.
But it has to be a correct war. War in our, look, it's not a bad question what you asked, yeah? Like, look, when you take someone's life, it's a very big thing in our religion, okay? And the taking of someone's life, it cannot be done without knowledge. Without knowledge, okay? So even when a person, like for example, the judge who takes the person's life, the judge who rules that the person he's guilty of murder, so he has to be given the death punishment, this judge, what is this judge? This judge is a mujtahid, which is the highest level of being an Islamic scholar. He's got the highest form of knowledge. Even in war, when the Muslim soldiers go to war, they have to study the Islamic law pertaining to war. They have to study the book of jihad, which is in the books of Islamic law. They have to study it. Because you have to understand, even within battle, you can't kill certain people in certain situations. You can't kill people in certain situations. Like the non-Muslims, they just throw bombs and kill everyone, right? Like you can't harm trees. You can't harm innocent people. Have you heard of the term collateral damage? Collateral damage means that we're trying to get an enemy, so we'll throw a bomb. Even if some innocent people die, it's collateral damage. They had to die. In our religion, that's haram. You cannot throw bombs if it's going to harm innocent people. So even our religion is that strict that when it comes to war, like, it's not as simple as, it's war, let's take lives. Like, forget harming humans, you can't harm trees. If you can't harm trees in war, what about humans? Does that make sense? But then there is a time which would be in a war, and that war would have to be led by an Islamic government. It would have to be led by an Islamic government. Not crazy people like ISIS. Have you heard of ISIS? They're crazy. They're just a bunch of kids who what? They just hit puberty. They just became men. And what do? They decided to make their own little country. And what happened? They didn't have no government. Does that make sense? It has to be led by a Muslim ruler, and that's when jihad happens. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm not telling anyone to go to jihad, please. Yeah? I'm not telling anyone. What I'm telling you to do is study your religion, study your deen, become a good Muslim. I'm answering the question that you asked me for the record. Okay? It's just for the record. Everyone's witness to that, yeah? I'm not sending any kids away. Okay? Inshallah. And I'll be honest with you, jihad is one of those things that is a part of our religion, but it's not relevant to your day-to-day life here. And people who try to make it relevant to you are people who usually have a corrupted mindset. They have like an extremist mindset. Like, it's not relevant to you here. Does that make sense? Because there's no war here. So like, it's good to learn. It's a part of our deen. You have to study it. But if you find as a youngster that someone keeps talking to you about jihad, and just keep talking to you about it a lot, I'd be a bit concerned. Like, what do you believe, bro? Are you are you ISIS? Because they're pushing you towards that mentality and that mindset. But it's not relevant to you. If you lived in a country where there was war now, and I'm saying it's a part of your deen, you have to know it. But it's just some people, they always talk about jihad. They don't talk about tawheed. They don't talk about worshipping Allah Azza wa Jalla. They don't talk about salah. They don't talk about the important parts of this deen. They talk about jihad. Jihad's it's not relevant right now. There's no jihad right now. What I need to learn is how to worship Allah, the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and so on and so forth. Does that make sense?